Right, here we are again. A friend has asked me to do a video on making soup, which I do a lot, because it's healthy, it's cheap, and it uses up the rubbish that you'd otherwise throw away. We're going to make broccoli soup, and I hope you like it. But before I get into the video, I just want to explain that the thing I'm doing here is trying to raise money and awareness for Meningitis Now, which is the t-shirt that I've got on. There's a tag at the bottom of the screen which it will explain a little bit more, and if you'd like to follow that, that would be very helpful. Right, let's get into the food bit. Right, so the first thing we need to do is cut the broccoli stalks up, and the reason for this is it's quite stringy. So what I usually do is cut it down the middle like this first of all, and then take a knife and just run through it like this. And you want to get it fairly thin. It doesn't matter too much. This is, I don't know, a quarter of an inch, something like that. Obviously you don't want to be taking your fingers off at this stage, and the smaller bits just keep rolling it over. It will go soft, and at the end of the day we are going to liquidize it, but if you leave it nice and whole and thick, and perhaps put it in chunks like this, you'll find that parts of it won't cook properly, and that's not what we're looking for at the end of the day. We want it nice and small so it will cook nicely. Alright, so I'm going to finish cutting this up and we'll join you in a minute in the cooking pan. Right, so the next thing we'll need is a pan. We've got a very big pan here. I think it holds about 5 litres or so, because I make a bit of a mess and I don't want it to go everywhere. Right, so first of all you're going to need some fat. As I say, I'm using ghee, and this is a tablespoon, and I've put about a tablespoonful of fat in there. Pretty easy. We're going to make it melt. Where's my wooden spoon? There she is. When that's melting, we're going to put the broccoli in that we've cut up, basically. Right, now before we do anything else, what we need to do is make that broccoli soft. So what I'm going to do is clerk it round for a little bit, put the lid on, make it sweat, and leave it there for about 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, and I'll come back to you when it's looking different. As you can see, it's quite white and solid at the moment. Well, here we are 5 minutes later, and as you can see, a little bit burnt around the edges. The whiteness has gone, it's more sort of golden now and shiny because it's covered in fat basically. And I'm not sure if you can see this, you probably can, but they're a little bit softer as well, so that made a dent in that. So what we're ready to do next is make a roux. Now let's just turn off that just for a sec so we can talk. I've got enough, same tablespoon, and as you can see, got a bit of fat in, a bit of flour in there, and that's basically all you need. Now the fat and the flour makes a thickening. It's called a roux. Most people know what a roux is, but if you don't, you do now. When the flour goes in there, that will start to burn. All right, so I'm just going to put that on the side. We're going to add a little bit of water. That's what I'm talking about. And as you stir it, that will start to thicken straight away. Right, next thing we're going to need is a little bit of our friend stock. This is vegetable stock. And all I'm going to put in here, this is powder. Now you can read the instructions on your own one, but I'm going to put in about half a teaspoon there. Mix that into the liquid. Now in a normal sauce, what you do is you wait in between each addition when you add water for the lumps to disappear. On this one it doesn't matter because we're making a soup, we're going to blend it down anyway, and any lumps are going to disappear, so we don't need to worry about that too much. This beaker holds 250 millilitres of water to 300. So that's just starting to bubble up now, it's just starting to thicken. That's my dinner cooking in the microwave, fantastic. Roast. Right, now we're going to make sure this is thicker and then I'll be back to you with the next ingredient. Alright, so it's been bubbling away now for about 5 minutes. I'm not sure if you can see that, but it has thickened ever so slightly and sort of to the consistency of very thin gravy, if you know what I mean. Right, so it easily pours, it's quite weak, it's got a bit of a fawn sort of colour to it, and what we're going to do now is add butter beans. At this point, if you want to, you can add milk. But milk has got a bit of fat in it and it's not as healthy as the butter beans. Butter beans have got a bit of protein, a bit of fibre, not much fat, and the liquid you can see in there is water. So I'm going to put the whole lot in, like that. Just mix them up. Now at this stage it looks a bit grim. Not much to write home about, to be quite honest. However, in a little while that will brew up to be something quite special. Now we had 2 of these containers to start off with. They're about as big as a can, okay? So if you're in any doubt, that's the sort of measurement I was using, 2 of these. And what I'm going to do now is fill this up with water, like that, and put that in as well. So not 2 litres, but just yeah, about sorry, one and a bit litre, about 1¼ litres. There are some measuring things in here somewhere, so just over the 1. There's the 1. About 1¼ litres of liquid. That's going to be really thin, but no problem. What we need to do now is let that boil up. I'm going to put the lid on, put that on like that, and every now and again I'm going to take the lid off, give it a stir. I'm going to turn the heat right down because once the lid's on, it uses less energy and it boils away, no problem at all. Alright, so I'll be back to you in a little while when it's done that. Probably I would say about ½ hour. So 30 minutes is quite a long time. What I suggest you do in 30 minutes, watch a very short film, do a bit of washing, that's a good idea, make the bed, not quite 30 minutes. Personally, I enjoy a good meal. This is lamb shank, this is a glass of whiskey. Yum, absolutely. That's the way to do 30 minutes. Well, time flies when you're having fun. Basically, ½ an hour passed, and what I've done is I took the lid off, and for the past 10 minutes I've been boiling it and evaporating the water. Basically, all the water goes up by steam. I'm extracting it through the fan, and as you can see, you can now see the 1 mark there. So it's now sort of lost about 200 millilitres of water, and what we're doing is we're not replacing that water, and as you can see it's real sort of thin consistency, and so far we've added no salt and we've added no pepper. The only thing, the flavouring that we've added is stock. Okay, that's a good point to make. Don't put any salt and pepper in just yet, not until you've liquidised it, which is what we're going to do next. Right, so what we're going to do now is liquidise. Let's add a bit of light to the proceedings. That's better. This is not pretty. Basically what we've got to do is pour the liquid into the liquidiser like that. Don't put it all in at once. It will be a disaster. Don't forget it's quite hot as well, so make sure that lid goes on. And basically you've got to liquidise the lot. I won't bore you, but when I've finished I'm going to pour it into this little tub here. Okay, right, so here we are. This is the finished product. All the soup, about a litre of it, is in this little red bowl. And as you can see, it's really, really thick. Very thick. Too thick, in fact, for soup. Most of you will have had soup before, and you know exactly how thick it should be, but that is a little bit too thick. See, it's making marks in there. That's a little bit too thick. So, as you can see, it made a bit of a mess in here, and I couldn't get it all out. So what I'm going to do is add about 150 millilitres of water, and then swish this around like that. And just get the last bit of ingredients out of there. That's all it is, and then we can merge that in and make it rather tasty. Now, this is the consistency you want. It's thick. It's thick enough to pour, but it doesn't stay on the top. At this point, you can add a bit more water if you think it's a bit too thick, or again, instead of like we got butter beans earlier on, you could add a little bit of milk at this stage also. But don't forget that milk will go off after a while. Now, make sure you don't touch the inside of this. This has got to be very, very clean as well, because any bacteria that's on your hands will multiply around the sides of the container if if it's there. So, indeed, avoid touching that. Right, now we've got a brand new spoon. We've just cleaned it. I'm going to give it a little bit of a stir and a little bit of taste. Nice. Not only is it nice, but it doesn't need any salt. Okay, for me. For yourself, you could add a little bit of salt at this stage. I'm going to add some pepper because I like it. About that much usually. Got a washing up bowl around there, so I've just washed my spoon, and that'll obviously make it a little bit spicier. Like that, just moving it around, just mixing it in. And again, what we'll do is we'll just taste that. That's better. That's what it needed. Right, so finished product. What can I say? Butterbean and broccoli soup. Very cheap to make, very easy to make. You use enough old ingredients apart from the butter beans. What could you possibly moan about, basically? Nice and easy. One thing I just got to add before I go, please donate if you can to the Meningitis Now formation. It's an amalgamation of two groups, Meningitis Trust and Meningitis Community, that were around together for a long time, and they both do the same thing. They're looking to find a cure for this pretty awful disease, and vaccinations, that sort of thing. Look after families. They do a massive job, and your money goes towards these sort of people, so please donate, and I hope, like I do, you enjoy the soup. Alright, my gift to you. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.